Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Solo ReacTalk. This afternoon, I'm going to be reacting to multiple videos coming from the DQVO YouTube channel. You could say that this is a DQVO marathon. Yes. The first video, it has been requested by AnthraxScribe2222. Thank you again, AnthraxScribe2222, for your financial support. It's really appreciated. Yes, the first video I'm going to be reacting to is Master of Mankind, the Emperor reveals his childhood to Ra. That's the first video. Let me just see here. The next video is going to be Master of Mankind, the Emperor takes to the field, voiceover part 1. The next one will be Master of Mankind, the Emperor fights with the Custodes, voiceover part 2. Master of Mankind, the Emperor's final command for Ra, voiceover part 3 final. And then it's going to be the end and the death, Dawn versus Korn, voiceover made on the DQVO YouTube channel. And then it's going to be a 13-part playlist focusing on the Emperor versus Horus. First, it's going to be the prelude, which is the end and the death. Number 3, the Emperor marches to Horus, and then it's going to be, the 12 videos focusing on the battle between Horus, Lupercal, and the Emperor. Yes. So I'm going to be here for some time, reacting to all of these videos, and hopefully you guys will be here as well, watching my reactions, focusing on the DQVO videos for Warhammer 40k. Yes, hopefully you guys will continue watching my reactions as well. Remember, if you want to check out the original video as well as DQVO's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. If you want to check out my previous reaction to other Warhammer 40k content created by DQVO as well as other YouTubers, the reaction playlist card is going to be at the top right here. Yes, and including all of these videos are going to be in the same playlist card. Yeah. Okay, let's start. 3, 2, 1, go. The Emperor's childhood.
The boy who would be king held his father's skull in his hands. He turned it slowly, running his fingertips across the contours of skinless bone. A thumb, still browned with field dirt, traced across the blunt ivory pegs of the gap-toothed death smile.
If that's his father's skull, when did his father die? I mean, it takes some time for the body to decompose, right? After death. So, or maybe they burnt off the skin and the muscle and the tissue of the bones, and all that's left is the bones, essentially. Okay.
He lifted his eyes to the stone shelf where the other skulls sat in silent vigil. They stared into the hut's gloomy confines, their eyes replaced by smooth stones, their faces restored with the crude artistry of clay. It was the boy's place to remake his father's face in the same way, sculpting the familiar features with wet mud and slow swipes of a flint knife, then letting the skull bake dry in the high sun. The boy thought he might use seashells for the eyes, if he could barter with the coastal traders for 2 that were smooth enough. He would do this soon. Such things were tradition. First, he needed answers.
Don't you already have the answers, Emperor? Can you not see into the future? And if you can see into the future, I'm surprised that you did not try to prevent this.
He turned the skull once more, circling his thumb around the ragged hole broken into the bone. He didn't need to close his eyes and meditate to know the truth. He didn't need to pray for his father's spirit to tell him what happened. He simply touched the hole in his father's head, and at once he knew. He saw the fall of the bronze knife from behind. He saw his father fall into the mud. He saw everything that had happened leading to this moment in time. The boy who would be king arose from the floor of his family's hut and walked out into the settlement, his father's skull clutched in one hand. Mud brick huts lined both sides of the river. The wheat fields to the east were a patchwork sea of dark gold beneath the eye of the setting sun. The village was never truly quiet, even after the day's work was done.
During this time, the emperor lived in Anatolia, right? Or he lived in Mesopotamia, on the Tigris or Euphrates River. Or, like I said, maybe he lived in Anatolia, somewhere there. I'm not sure where exactly, pinpointing exactly where, but it could be in Anatolia or further down south on in Mesopotamia. Yeah.
Families talked and laughed and fought. Dogs barked for attention and whined for food. The wind set the scrubland trees to singing, with the hiss of leaves and the creak of branches forming their eternal song. A ragged dog growled as the boy passed, yet fled yelping when he gave it no more than a glance. The carrion bird, hunchbacked and evil of eye, cried out above the village. A pack of other ragged children moved aside when he drew near, their ball game fading away and their eyes lowering. His barefooted walk took him unerringly to the home of his father's brother.
So your uncle is probably the killer of your father. Wow. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. The debt of blood must be paid in full. He wants justice. He wants vengeance. And blood can only be repaid in blood, even if it means family blood.
The man, darkened and hardened by his years in the fields, was sat outside the mud brick hut, threading beads into a string for his youngest daughter. The boy's uncle uttered the sound that meant the boy's name.
And we're not going to know that name. Great, that's just great. Are you going to ask him why before you kill him, Emperor? Are you going to ask him why? I would like to know. Why would your uncle kill your father, his brother?
In response to this greeting, the boy held up his father's skull. Many centuries after these events, citizens of even civilized and advanced cultures would often misunderstand exactly what a myocardial infraction was. The savage, constricting pain in the chest was due to blood no longer flowing cleanly through the heart's passages, causing harm to the myocardium tissue of the heart itself. Put simply, the core of a human being runs dry, trying to malfunction with no oxygenated lubricant.
So he's suffocating.
This happened to the boy's uncle when he set eyes upon the skull of his murdered brother.
I guess you're not going to ask why. Just straight up kill him.
The boy who would be king watched with neither remorse nor any particular hostility. He looked on as his uncle slid from his crouch onto the mud, clutching at his treacherous chest. He watched as his uncle's sun-darkened features pinched closed, ugly and tight, in supreme agony, as the older man shook with the onset of convulsions. He saw the necklace slip from his uncle's grip, the necklace that was being made for his young cousin, and would now never be finished. Others came running. They shouted. They cried. They made the noises of language that spoke of panic and sorrow in a Proto-Indo-European tongue that would come to be known as an early precursor to the Hittite dialect. The boy walked away, heading back towards his family's hut. On the way, he turned to the figure. The giant, clad in gold, who walked nearby. Nordafric war clan tattoos curled on the towering warrior's face, curling from his temples to follow the curves of his cheekbones. The serpentine ink curves, white against his dark flesh, ended up on his chin just beneath his mouth. "Hello, Ra," the boy said in a tongue that wouldn't be spoken on this world for many thousands of years. The language was called High Gothic by those who would come to speak it.
So the Emperor is showing Ra his memories of the past, of what happened to his father and what he did to his uncle. But why isn't the Emperor curious about why his uncle killed his father? I mean, something like this doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen. To the point where his uncle is, making a beaded necklace for his cousin, for the Emperor's cousin, for his daughter, acting as if everything is okay and normal. There has to be something behind that. Why doesn't the Emperor want to know the truth about what really happened? Why can't he ask first? Why did you do this? Instead of just coming up straight up to him and just killing him like that. Because now there's a part of you that will never be healed. You will never be able to resolve this situation. I know, when your family member is killed, when your loved ones are killed, you want that person to die as well. The person who killed your loved ones, you want that person to suffer as well. But at least let us understand, or just let us listen to their side of things. Why did they do it? But anyways, what is done is done. Ra, I know Ra's mother. She was a minister who was stealing water, and the Emperor sent Constantine Valdor to go and execute her because she was stealing water, which is a very valuable resource on Terra. And what was her name again? Chokazu or Kokazu? I forgot how to pronounce her name. But the minister had a son, and that son was taken away by Constantine Valdor after he executed her mother, or his mother, I should say. And this boy became Ra, essentially. Yeah.
"You have never shown me this memory before," Ra said. The boy stared at him. "No, I have not. This is where it all began, Ra. Here, on the banks of the Sakarya River." The boy turned his old eyes to the river itself. So much water, so much life. If I have been disappointed by the galaxy's wonders, It is only because we were fortunate enough to grow in such a cradle. There was so much to learn, Ra. So much to know. It pleases me for you to see what it once was. The boy cast a slow gaze across their surroundings, across the rows of tall crops around the village where every other man, woman, and child was ignoring them, as though they know. This is where I spent my youth, working the soil and bringing life from the ground. The custodian inclined his head, causing the servos in his collar to purr. I have given you my report, sire. Why do you keep me here? So I may illuminate you, the boy replied, speaking with a patience that bordered upon the preternatural. You watched that man die, did you not? Ra looked back over his shoulder where the village folk were gathered around the fallen man, weeping and comforting in a loose, unwashed herd. I did. That was my uncle. My father's brother. You killed him, the custodian said without judgment. Yes. He struck my father from behind, with a piece of sharpened bronze too poorly made to even be called a knife. Men had killed one another for generations before my birth, but this was the first slaying that had resonance to me, that changed my existence.
And this murder, well, I don't think this family curse starts with you. It starts with your uncle killing his brother, and you killing your uncle. And then, in turn, you also killed your children. I would consider the Thunder Warriors as your children as well. You killed them. And then your Primarchs kill each other. The brothers kill each other. And then also the Astartes, who are the children of your Primarchs, kill each other. And then you, Emperor, you also kill your son. This is a family curse. It's a family curse that has, that has been passed down from generation to generation to generation in your family. And I don't see it ending anytime soon.
It was illuminating. He paused for a moment, following Ra's gaze back to the noisy villagers. The very first murder was also a fratricide, he said without emotion. Thousands of years before this, when men and women still owed as much to apes as to the form we know now. But it is curious to me. Brothers have always killed brothers.
Wait, is he talking about those characters in the Bible? Who are they again? Abel? Is it Cain? Yeah, Cain and Abel. Yeah, maybe he's talking about them. I don't know.
I wonder why that is. Some evolutionary flaw, some ingrained emotional fragility written into mankind's core, perhaps.
Well, humanity is not the only race that does something like this. I'm sure the Eldar have also gone through something similar. The Tau, the orcs, they kill each other all the time. I don't know if they actually consider themselves or see themselves as brothers, but yeah, they kill each other all the time. We're not special. We're not unique in this type of activity, if I can call it that, for a lack of a better word. We're not special. It's just unfortunate that things like this actually happen.
Ra shook his head. I have no way of knowing the emotions at hand, sire. I have no brothers.
You have no brothers, Ra? Really? The custodians are not your brothers, really? Wow. Okay.
I was being rhetorical, Ra. The boy took a breath. This night was significant, not for the murder, but for the deliverance of justice. For my uncle's deed, I stopped his heart's function and forced him to die. In eras to come, this will be called the Lex Talionis, the law of retaliation. Or more simply, an eye for an eye. It is justice itself. Hundreds of human cultures throughout time will embrace it. Some will do so out of brutality, others from ideals that they believe to be fair and enlightened. But it is a precept that runs through the marrow of our species. Ra pulled his gaze away from the weeping humans. He heard his sire's words. He knew the history and philosophy behind them. But the reason for them yet eluded him. His doubt plainly showed on his face, for the boy inclined his head in recognition. I told you that this is where it all began, the boy said. Culture, the warrior replied. Civilization.
No, it didn't start here.
The boy's momentary silence told Ra that he had guessed wrong. We are not far removed from those beginnings, Ra, either in distance or time. You could walk to the cradle of civilization from here. Where
is he talking about the cities or the civilizations on the Mesopotamia region? Uruk and Ur, probably.
The men and women made the very first city. When I leave this village, that is where I will go. That journey is coming soon. But no, that is not what I mean when I speak of beginnings. The boy turned the skull over in his hands, just as he had done in the hut before. This is where I first learned the truth behind our species. This very eve, as I held my father's skull and considered how to restore his features according to our burial rites. When I learned of his murder, it was a revelation into the heart of all of mankind. This is a world that has no need of you yet, Ra. It has no need for imperial bodyguards, for it is a world that knows nothing of emperors or warlords or conquerors, and therefore it knows nothing of unity, nothing of law. You speak of leadership, the custodian said. Not quite. Every village already had leaders. Every family had patriarchs and matriarchs. I speak of kings, givers of law, rulers of cultures.
Those systems already exist, Emperor. The first cities built by man already had kings and high priests and priestesses that governed their societies, culture, and identity and nationhood. Those already existed. And more civilizations across the world that were still fledgling were already going down that path of having kings and queens and high priestesses and high priests that would govern their culture, their society, and their way of life.
Not merely those who give orders, but those whose decisions keep a civilization bound together. This was the night I realized that mankind must be ruled. It could not be trusted to thrive without a master. It needed to be guided and shaped, bound by laws and set to follow the course laid by its wisest minds.
And look what the wisest minds have given us after the golden age of our civilization, the apex of humanity, and we've descended down into the dark ages. And you come before us telling us that you are our emperor of mankind. And after all that you have done, and after the 10,000 years of stagnation, this is the result of your decision, Emperor.
Ra breathed in the humid air of a land that knew nothing of the ravages it would suffer in the centuries to come. He smelled the sweat of the workers and the minerals in the river water, feeling his blood sing at the sensation of a truly unspoiled world.
I wonder if your father did not die at the hands of your uncle, would you still have made that same decision? Would you still have made that same decision? Or is it when your father was killed by your uncle, it flipped a switch in you, where now you have disconnected yourself from humanity, where you have no faith in us? You do not believe that we can govern ourselves. You do not believe that we can have agency for our own destiny, that it must be you that must determine how we must live, how we must survive in this galaxy, how we are going to evolve. That all that decision making is now in the hands of one singular person. Would you have still thought this way if your father was still alive? I wonder about that. And how you took it upon yourself to kill your uncle at that time, when I'm sure there were authorities that you could have reported to. But you can't just tell them that I can, I have psychic abilities and I know who killed my father. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. I'll cancel that out. But, from this situation, I just don't understand how is it that you just came to the conclusion that there is no hope for us unless if you are the one leading us. Where was that decision before your father died?
He didn't admire the crudeness of a people that lacked all but the rudiments of technology, but he felt awed at the species' humble genesis. To think that the Emperor, revered above all, had risen from such beginnings. He looked the boy in the eyes, meeting that dark and knowing gaze, and spoke with a suspicion that curled the war-clan tattoos on his cheeks into a slight smile. Did this truly happen, sire? Were you really born here?
Do you doubt him, Ra? That's unique. I don't think I've actually heard of a custodian doubting their lord. And it's interesting.
The boy, who would be king, turned the skull over in his hands, his voice already distant with distraction. I shall barter with the coastal traders that come at the high moon.
I will use shells for my father's eyes.
Greetings, one and all. If you enjoyed that, you can support me on my Discord, Patreon, Redbubble, or with a channel membership. Or simply like, comment, and subscribe to catch any and all future DQVO videos. And as always, my thanks for watching.
Alright, guys, that's it. With Master of Mankind, the Emperor reveals his childhood to Ra, voiceover made on the DQVO YouTube channel. I'm still going to ask this question. If his father did not die, would he have still made that same decision? That he would lead humanity by fire, by force? And, what if But if his father was still alive and he was able to teach his son differently to what he was thinking about after his father died, could we have had a different emperor? Could we have had an emperor who had more, understanding and compassion and empathy, and an emperor that is willing to let humanity do it by themselves? Support humanity. Don't be our shepherd. Support. There's a difference. Supporting us in terms of understanding the type of universe we live in. Supporting us in understanding how we can manage ourselves, control these abilities that are going to be springing up in us as the years come by, in terms of the golden age of humanity, and then when we reach our apex, how do we make sure that we do not descend into darkness? Supporting humanity that way, instead of just waiting for us to be at our weakest point, and then you come in and say that you are our king, forever king, that will defend us from the darkness. Hopefully you guys can understand what I'm trying to ask here. What if the emperor's father did not die? What type of emperor would we have had? Because clearly, after his father died at the hands of his uncle, it flipped a switch. It flipped a switch in him, and he had decided that there's nothing that humans can do without me. Without me, you are nothing. Without me, you will die. That's essentially what he's telling us. And it's unfortunate that that has come to pass. Literally, that has come to pass. Without him, we will die. He shines the Astronomicon in the warp. He is the focal point of all of our energy that we reflect in the warp. He's the only thing that's defending us now from the chaos gods. Without him, we die out. So I'm just wondering, what type of emperor would we have had if his father was still alive? Well, yeah, that was interesting. Also about this curse that I'm talking about, the family curse, where the uncle has killed the father, the nephew kills the uncle, the father kills the children, the children kill each other, the children's children kill each other, and the father kills the child. It's a whole family affair that spans thousands of years. It's a whole family affair that involves trillions upon trillions of human beings. We are in their universe. We are in their world. We're in the world of the emperor, his primarchs, his left and right hand, Constantine Valdor, Malkidor the Sigillite, the Astartes. We are in their world. Whatever they do affects us all. And the family curse affects us all as well. And yeah, really there's just nothing we can do to escape this type of torment that we are experiencing in Warhammer 40k as humanity. We just have to live with it, unfortunately. Yeah. Alright guys, that is it with this video. Master of Mankind, the Emperor reveals his childhood to Ra, voiceover made on the DQVO YouTube channel. Thank you DQVO for creating this video, and the voiceover was very, very good. And yeah guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed my reaction. Thanks again also to AnthraxScribe2222 for the request. And now I'm continuing with the next video, which is a 3-part video Master of Mankind, the Emperor Takes to the Field, Part 1. And Part 2 is the Emperor Fights with the Custodes. Part 3 is the Emperor's Final Command for Ra. Yes, those 3 videos are coming next. You'll probably see the cards for the first part somewhere here, and then the playlist card will be at the top here. Yeah. Alright, see you there.